Hello and welcome to Nan Loves Food. I am Ann here today with another meal prep and plan with me video. Super excited about this one today. We've got a very veggie heavy menu, which I'm excited for. We also have warm and cozy food to just, it's winter, it's cold, it's time to feel warm and cozy. And so we've got some food that's really gonna help with that. How this works is we have 3 meals that we're gonna plan for this week. And we're gonna get everything prepped so that when weeknights are here, it's just easy to get things done. So for my family, planning 3 meals is about the right number, between penciling in a couple of, at least 1 carryout meal, penciling in a day for leftovers. 3 is about the right number. Our weekends are pretty flexible. We don't have any rules about what we eat. I don't plan for weekends. So 3 is perfect for us. And today the 3 are gonna be really delicious. I'm very excited about the menu. We have a Olive Garden copycat steak gorgonzola pasta dish. It's got some Alfredo, it's got spinach. Again, we're very veggie heavy this week, which I love. We're doing a winter vegetable gratin. So it's gonna be like a bubbly with cheese and breadcrumbs, and it'll be delicious. And we're gonna serve that with some potatoes. And our final dish for the week is gonna be super simple. It's gonna be chicken and wild rice soup. So doesn't that just sound like a delicious, warm, comforting menu? I'm so in for it. So the nice thing is we've only got 4 steps today. Very simple. We have a lot of veg to prep. I'm standing in front of a huge pile of vegetables. We are gonna take a cheat from the store and use a rotisserie chicken to make our chicken and wild rice soup, which is just gonna make that easy, but we are gonna make the bone broth from scratch using this rotisserie chicken. So if you wanna skip that step, by all means. Boxed chicken broth or Better Than Bouillon is awesome, and you can just buy some chicken breast or whatever from the store and it's totally fine. Weeknights are not meant to be hard. These are pretty simple meals, but if you find steps that make it easier for you, you want to tone it back a little bit, there is nothing wrong with that. There is no guilt and no shame in this corner of the internet. We are all just trying to get by here. So trying to make delicious food that feeds our souls and feeds our bellies and provides us with a little bit of nourishment. So hope you enjoy. Let's get started. All right, so here we are. We're gonna get started by cutting up our leeks. These are actually pretty small. We just wanna cut them up to about here. And then what we'll do is we'll use this part in our stock. But leeks are very dirty. They're grown generally in pretty sandy environments. So there will be little sandy bits all the way through this. So we wanna make sure we wash leeks especially really well, but all of our veggies really well. So I got my salad spinner here. This will serve as both my vessel to hold stuff, and then we'll fill this up with water and clean all of our veggies for this gratin at one time. Make our life easier. I also have a compost bowl. So this will be all the stuff that we're not gonna use for cooking today, and that'll go out to the compost. So we're gonna set this part to the side for our stock, but we're also gonna wash it because it's yucky. So with the leek, we're just gonna dice it into fine little rounds. As always, I will link the recipes for these dishes in the comment section below. And also there is a meal prep and plan guide that comes with a full shopping list for this menu, step-by-step instructions on how to prep, as well as link to all of these recipes on the internet. If you want that, you just have to go to nanlovesfood.com/meal prep and enter your email address in, and you will get not only this month's copy, but every one that we've got so far. So we're building a collection over there. I have vowed to do one of these a month for the entire year of 2023. And so that's what we're doing. So we'll have a full collection by the end of the year. So make sure you're signed up over there if you wanna get in on that. It does make meal prepping and planning a whole lot easier. You don't even have to think, just follow the guide. It gives you step-by-step instructions. Brussels sprouts will be halved. I don't believe my husband had ever had leeks before we started dating, and now he really likes them actually. They're just a really mild onion situation, and they're delicious. It's a nice way to add onion flavor without like that super punch that onion can bring sometimes. So if you haven't given leeks a try, do. They're really yummy. Now my grocery store does not carry Savoy cabbage, which is kind of a shame because it's delicious. So I just got the plain old green kind. As you can see, I have been hacking off of it for various applications through the week. So this is what we have left. This should be more than enough for what we need for this recipe. So I'm just gonna peel back any scraggly looking bits and we'll just chop this up it says roughly chopped. So to me, I'll probably do, you know, you want to kind of match the thickness of your Brussels. So we'll probably, you know, just make rough chops about the size of the Brussels sprouts. Okay, we've got all of the veggies that the recipe calls for. I'm not following the recipe exactly. I never do. If you're new around here, sorry about that. I do find recipes that look good to me on the internet, and then I mostly do what they say, but don't like measure. So whether you're comfortable with that or not in your kitchen, doesn't really matter. You can follow the recipe exactly that somebody else has written, or you can kind of wing it like I do. This kale was for something else, and it's starting to get a little sad. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this in this application as well. I think it'll be a delicious addition and certainly qualifies as a winter vegetable. To prep your kale, you're just gonna take, we don't really want this stalk part, so I just take my fingers and start to pull down the stalk. And then if the pieces are getting too big, like that one's fine. But if I get down here to the bottom and the piece is too big and I just want to give, I can just give this a rough chop, just 2 quick passes with my knife, and then I'll put that in my salad spinner over here. So I'm just gonna run through this head of kale real fast. Okay, so we didn't get all the kale in there, but we are full, so I'm gonna call this good. I'm just gonna fill this with water and zhuzh it around a little bit, let it hang out, and it will soak the dirt right off. And then we'll actually use the spin function to get it nice and dry, or dry-ish, before we cook it. All right, that is soaking. In terms of step-by-step order here, normally I follow the step-by-step guidelines that I write pretty closely. This time I'm going a little off book, just because this is how it makes more sense in my head. So step 1 was actually to thaw the meat. So we have our steak for the gorgonzola pasta actually thawing out here on the counter right now. We are starting with veggie prep, which is step 2. We're gonna take a quick skip to step 3 real fast, because I wanna go ahead and get this all assembled, so we're good to go. There are directions in the recipe that state that you're supposed to basically make a roux on your stovetop. That is all well and good. I'm sure that the French, you know, chefs of the world would approve of such a method. However, I am not French, and I don't want to spend any more time prepping in my kitchen than I have to. So I'm taking a cheater step here. We're actually gonna make a roux in the microwave, which is a skill that I didn't even know you could do. Like, I didn't think that was a thing until I saw it on TikTok this winter when people were making Thanksgiving gravy with their microwave. And I was like, I don't think you can do that. And then I did it twice and it totally worked. So I may never make roux on the stovetop again. I mean, I probably will. But for applications like this where I'm not cooking it right now, I sure don't want to get another pan dirty. So I'm going to use the casserole dish that we're going to put the gratin in, which will just make this like easy breezy. So I've got 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of flour ready to go. And I'm just going to throw this in the microwave until it gets, well, I'll show you how it gets. We're going to pop it in for about 20 seconds and see where we end. While that was microwaving, I went ahead and got a pot of water ready. I'm gonna get that boiling. We're gonna use this for the soup too, because we're not using extra dishes around here. No, we don't do that. This is the Instant Pot Braiser. I will link it down below. We are becoming friends. I kinda didn't love it at first, but I'm starting to love it now. So this took 40 seconds in the microwave. I'll show you. So the butter is kind of solid yet, and the flour is just starting to cook a little bit. So this is perfect. We wanted to take it out now so that it will, so we can stir it really well, so we can finish cooking it mixed together. Okay, now that I've given it a stir, it's this really lovely light brown color. I'm just gonna throw it in the microwave for another 45 seconds or so, just to make sure that that flour is cooked through. As you can see, that's kind of bubbled up, and that's exactly what we're looking for. We're gonna start adding milk to this. So I put about 16 ounces of milk in here, and I'm just gonna give it a stir and integrate that flour as much as I can. We're effectively just making a gravy here, a really easy gravy, and then we're gonna add cheese to it. Yum. I'm gonna use a very sharp white cheddar because that sounds delightful to me. And my store carries a really good one. The recipe itself recommends an equal mix of Gruyere and cheddar. So I just went the inexpensive route. It's a weeknight meal. If I were having, you know, people over and it were fancy, we'd do the Gruyere. But this is just for us. Okay, so we integrated that as best we could. Back in the microwave, we'll try 45 seconds, see where we land. That is starting to get somewhere, but it is not quite there. I'm gonna put it in for another, probably minute, maybe a little more. It's not quite hot enough to be doing this thing yet. And while that goes, we are going to grate some seriously sharp cheddar cheese. All right, so our little gravy is right where I want it. So it's a little thin and runny, and part of that is because we're gonna add cheese, right? We don't want it too thick right at the offset, because this cheese is gonna thicken it up quite a bit. But when you get it to where, you know, you can do this with your spoon, that's right where you wanna be. So the brazier doesn't have like a boil button, it actually just has sear or saute. I've got it set on 400 degrees on that sear saute mode. So it is boiling, and my veg is all clean and ready to go. It is a little drippy, but who cares? We're gonna cook it in water. So that's gonna go for 5 minutes. I just set a timer, and we're actually gonna use this again because it calls to blanch this. We're gonna fill up our salad spinner with ice water, and we're gonna use that to blanch as well. No extra dishes. Yes. Ice water. Now we're gonna keep working on our cheese sauce. It calls for some mustard, 1 tablespoon, so a good glob of mustard. Salt, pepper. Time to refill that guy. I'm gonna be very generous with the salt here because we haven't seasoned anything yet. Although we do have cheese. The cheese is gonna add some saltiness for sure. And we did get the good stuff. We did get some whole nutmeg. This, oh my goodness, whole nutmeg. It is so much better when you grate it fresh. I know a lot of people say things like that and they aren't really true. This is like really true. Nutmeg is just these little, they look like nuts. And we're just gonna use our microplane and do probably half to 3/4 of this guy. Mmm, the smell. Oh, nutmeg is so delicious with green veg. All right, we used about half. Normally I am a grated cheese girl where possible, like buy it from the store grated. Today is not one of those days. This is one of those dishes because we're going for a really creamy sauce. We do not want the little coating that's around the pre-shredded cheese in this dish. So that's why I shredded my own cheese. You know, if I can take a shortcut, I will. This is one of those times where you should probably, if you can, go ahead and shred the real thing. All right, our veg is done cooking, so I'm just gonna go drain these off and then blanch them in that ice water. Okay, now that we have our veg drained, we're just gonna put it in the ice water. All right, so this is blanched, which one of the reasons we do that technique is because it leaves our veg still intact, like it's still got some structure to it, but look at the vibrant green color. It's just gonna be so, so pretty. All right, so this is how our sauce looks. Kind of weird, it's a little chunky because we didn't melt the cheese all the way, but I don't think that'll be a problem. We're gonna put it in the oven for a long time. I tasted it did need some salt yet, so I put quite a bit of salt in there. Remember, this sauce has to carry enough salt for all of those vegetables, and that's a lot of vegetables. So we're gonna take our veg and just throw it in this casserole. I'm probably only gonna do some of it just to get the stirring started, and then we'll do the other half. Okay, we've got all that sauce mixed in. I've kind of smushed down the top a little bit with my spoon. And then we are just gonna top this with breadcrumbs. Now this is kind of the entree for the day. We're going meatless this day. So normally I wouldn't spend this much time on a side dish, but since this is the entree, this is a really great way to make your veggies feel special, because they are. I mean, between the freshly ground nutmeg, and I really think that stone ground mustard adds a little something, you know? I think this is gonna be absolutely delicious. And the nice thing is, it's in my casserole, it's ready to go, and I will put my lid on, put this in the refrigerator, and that night, I'm just gonna bake this as the instructions call for, probably a little extra time because it'll be cold coming out of the refrigerator. So this says 400 degree oven for 30 minutes. That will probably be closer to 45. And then on that day, I will also take these little potatoes, which these are already washed and ready to go, so no prep on these, which is amazing. And we'll put these on a sheet tray, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper, and we'll roast everything together and dinner will be done. And that's it, that's a whole meal. And I'm very, like, this is gonna be super comforting and warm and bubbly and delicious. I didn't say that if you're not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do that now. So I will drip out the final meals for all of these in time. It takes me a little time to get things edited and such. So this video is coming out, the video you're watching comes out on a Tuesday, the next one will be on a Thursday, the next one will be on a Tuesday, and then the next will be on a Thursday. So so those will be dripped out over time. So you will get to see the finished product for all of these and how they all turned out, which I think is really great, and how easy it was to put these together on a weeknight, because that's the deal. That's why we're going to all this trouble now, is so that, you know, after an exhausting Monday at work, I can come home, shove this and this in the oven, and dinner will be ready, and it'll take probably 5 minutes of active cooking time from me, which is a really good idea on a Monday, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna put this in the fridge. So for the pasta, we don't actually have any prep that we need to do. The recipe is pretty straightforward. I think we can get it all done on a weeknight. We are taking a little help from the store with the pre-washed spinach. So veggies are prepped for that dish. It also has some sun-dried tomatoes, so we'll just chop those up. I will go ahead and chop my steak if it's thawed enough. Right now it is frozen solid, so we might do that day of too. It's a real kitchen. Okay, so I just got my station cleaned up a little bit, which is important. Clean as you go, it'll make your life so much easier, both when you're cooking and when it's time to clean up. I got my leeks all cleaned. They were definitely sandy and gross inside, so definitely glad I gave those a quick soak and rinse. Just have a pot of water going back here. I'm gonna throw these in, and this will be the very start of our chicken stock. We have 2 giant carrots. We're gonna go ahead and give these a peel. Now, I normally will only make, you know, go to this level of trouble for soup about once a month. And I'll tell you what, the reason that I do that is because I really, really, really love homemade chicken stock. In my opinion, there is nothing in a box or a jar that can come close to the real thing. When you get that, like, it almost turns gelatinous. I mean, it does, it turns gelatinous when it gets cold, like in the fridge. And it just feels so nutritious and awesome. So I really, really, really love the real thing. And so to me, it's worth doing this about once a month. And then I will end up with about 4 quarts of stock from this work that I'm doing today. And I will take that stock and I will put 3 of the 4 quarts in my freezer. We'll use 1 for this particular application. And then I'll have, you know, stock to make soup for when I want it next time. And so when I make like a zuppa toscana or whatever, I will just go ahead, I'll go out to the freezer, grab my chicken stock, and I'm like 90% of the way there. Like there's so little work to soup after you have a really good stock. So we're gonna use these carrot peelings. I have my salad spinner full of water over here, and I'm just gonna dump these in and just give them a little rinse, make sure that there's nothing on there I don't want there to be. And I'll give my carrots a little rinse too. I'm just gonna chop the ends off. You can absolutely use these in the stock, but sometimes there's like, I don't know, it could be a little grimy. So I just don't use that part of my stock. You totally can. That's just a personal preference. So next time I wanna make a chicken soup, I will just use some, you know, chicken from the store, just cube up some chicken breast or whatever. I will use Trader Joe's and several other groceries have a already diced mirepoix, which is what we're making here. It's the carrots, onion, and celery. They've got it already cut up in a little plastic container. You just buy it. So if you have like chicken breast that you can dice and that mirepoix and your stock already made, add some sort of starch and voila, dinner is done. It doesn't get any easier than that. And it really has all of the wholesome, you know, nutritional deliciousness from you doing all that work to make that homemade stock, which is awesome. Tastes like you spent all day, and you did not even close. That's my kind of recipe. So I'm just cutting our carrots into like bite-sized pieces. Also Kroger and their affiliate stores, so Ralph's, and there are a couple of other ones that are owned by the Kroger brand. They sell a frozen mirepoix, which is great because I'm keeping my stock in the freezer anyways. So you can just grab that out of the freezer real fast, and then you don't even have to have any fresh produce on hand to have the foundation of a really solid soup. And doesn't everybody just want a warm bowl of soup in the winter? I sure do. Carrots are done. Now celery is up. So we're just gonna take these tops and throw them in our soaking ice water so that we can add them to our stock. We're gonna go ahead and take this apart as if we're gonna use this whole thing as celery, which we're not. But we're trying to get to these inner bits here. I personally don't love the way this part tastes, which makes it absolutely ideal for stock because it'll give that celery flavor, which is perfect. So again, I just like to take the end off. Personal preference, you don't have to do that. So that's gonna go in our stock. And I don't want this in my soup, like this leafy stuff. So again, this is just gonna go in my stock. We're not gonna waste it. Same with these ends. These get really dirty, so make sure to wash. We're gonna wash everything. So wash it before you put it in your stock, but these ends are perfect too. Got about 4 stalks of celery that we're gonna put in the soup. I am not following a recipe at all for this, by the way. It really is just chicken and veg and rice or whatever starch. So I'll link a recipe for chicken and wild rice soup, but do what your heart feels. This is one where you truly do not need a recipe at all. We're just gonna throw all of this goodness into our stock pot. All right, we got our celery all diced up. Made it about the same size as the carrots. That's the general rule of thumb, is you want all the different components of your mirepoix to have a different, have a similar size so that they cook about the same. This is a sweet onion. Found these at Costco the other day and they are so good. They're very, very sweet, which is so pleasant. But any old onion will do. Even the boring yellow kind. Onion tops, those will go in my stock, as will this peel. Believe it or not, this peel is gonna bring a lot to the party in our stock. It brings some color and some flavor and some nutrients, and it'll be a very nice addition even though we've got those leeks. Again, I don't put the fuzzy bits in my stocks. I just don't. You can if you want to, totally your choice. But we're just gonna take off this outside part and then throw that in the stock pot as well. We'll just make nice big onion dices to kind of match the general size of the carrot and the celery. All right, and that is it for the veggie prep for the week. Other than those sun-dried tomatoes, I don't think I'm gonna have to get out my cutting board at all for dinners this week, which is amazing. We only got it dirty once, and we're getting 3, really 4 meals out of it if you count leftovers. So I'm just gonna store the onion, celery, and carrot in there, and this will go in my fridge. Next up is our rotisserie chicken. I picked this up at the wholesale club yesterday. We have a BJ's around here, and I actually prefer to work with them when they are cold, especially to break them down, because I don't like burning my fingers. This gelatinous mess down at the bottom, this is delicious. We want to keep that. We're gonna put it right in the soup pot. Now, I had to kind of come to a compromise with myself about this whole thing. I absolutely hate breaking down chicken. I'm decent at it, but I don't like doing it. So I only do it, like I said, once a month. And I take the shortcut way out. So basically for this soup, I am just going to use the breasts. So if we look at our chicken, friend, here are his legs. Right here and right here are the 2 chicken breasts. So that is the part that I want for my soup. So I'm just going to take, so there's a backbone or a bone right here. And I'm just gonna slice these 2 breasts off. And I don't have to be precise about it. Because we're using this for soup and because I'm gonna use this carcass for my stock, there is literally no reason, like nothing is going to waste here. Everything is gonna get used. So as you can see, I just have 2 chicken breasts. That's all I'm using for my soup because I'm lazy. Okay, take the string out. We don't want to eat that. And now we're just gonna take off the leg, the wing, and the thigh. So I'm just probably gonna have that for lunch tomorrow or whatever. They're delicious in the air fryer. I don't eat the wing tip, so I'm gonna put that in my stock because the more bones you have in there, the more bone broth, like the more bone brothy it's gonna be. That's a word. So I just have my little piece here, a little wing. I just took these 2 wings off the front of the bird. So again, there's the wing. We're gonna take off that tip. That will go in my stock. As far as this leg and thigh goes, you can just it's kind of a gross sound, but you can just pop the joint right there. Just kind of pop it right out of the socket. And then if you want to separate the thigh and the leg, again. I mean, you probably know what these pieces look like, right? This is a drumstick. It looks like a drumstick. This is a chicken thigh. It looks like a chicken thigh. So you can just take this apart pretty easy. It might take you a couple of tries, but even if you massacre the thing, it's still chicken. Like, it's still gonna taste good. Oh, I grabbed a little too much that time. Okay, and now we have the carcass. This is what we're gonna use to make our bone broth. I could sit here and pick all of these little bits of meat off, but I'm not going to. You totally can. There's good meat in here, but it's just not worth it to me. Some days I'm more diligent than others, but this breast meat is what we're gonna use in our soup. You can put a little bit of skin in there. That will add to the fat content, which some fat is delicious, too much is greasy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the skins off of my chicken breasts and we'll chop those up. But I'm just gonna put the carcass and my 2 little wing tips in my stock pot. And if you have a furry friend that you love, chicken skin is a nice treat for them. Also, I have taken the chicken skin from a rotisserie chicken and thrown it in my air fryer, and it basically makes chicken crackers, and they are delicious. So if you've not done that before in your air fryer, that is, in my humble opinion, one of the best applications to use an air fryer, because it gets crispy in a way that a conventional oven just doesn't. Okay, so we have our chicken all diced up. I am just gonna put it in a deli container. I use these a ton around my kitchen. They're very convenient and very reusable. Make sure to wash them and reuse them. But they'll be the perfect vessel for all of my delicious chicken breast while we wait for chicken day. My steak is still a solid rock, so I'm gonna put this back in the fridge and we'll cut it on the day that we make the pasta. All right, we've got our chicken stock coming to a boil. We've got our chicken all cut up and ready to go. We're not gonna dirty another dish. I keep my rotisserie chicken pieces that I'm gonna throw in the air fryer later in the container that they came in. Why would I dirty another dish if that's already dirty? So I'm gonna put this back in the fridge just like this. Another trick, because we're gonna use this relatively quickly, rather than using some plastic wrap on it, I'm just gonna put a plate on it. That'll keep enough of like the moisture in so it doesn't dry out. It'll be fine for a couple of days like this, no problem. All right, so that's it, we're done. This is gonna cook back here for at least 6 hours. I'm just gonna let it go for a really long time. Once it's done, I'm gonna strain all of the stuff out of it so it's just a clear liquid, and we're gonna throw it into 4-quart jars, making sure to leave a little bit of room at the top so you know, liquid expands when it freezes. You definitely don't want to be in a situation where you have chicken stock all over your freezer. Ask me how I know. Leave a good at least inch of headspace for that liquid to expand, and you'll be just fine. It'll freeze for months. It never lasts that long at my house because it's delicious and it makes the easiest base for all sorts of delicious chicken and non-chicken dishes. Honestly, it just makes really good things. You can use it to make your rice as the liquid in your rice, to make a really good like chickeny flavored rice. Use it in pasta sauces, use it in anything you can think of. It's a really delicious base, and we'll have a good bit of it right there in that stock pot. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. If you want that free step-by-step guide, it will be right here. Go to that link, nanlovesfood.com/meal prep. We will get that out to you immediately. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we will see you with these 3 meals over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned and we'll have those ready for you.